Capricorn, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of September. So before I get started, this is going to be most applicable for your rising sign. So it's also known as your ascendant or the ruler of your first house, meaning the sign that rules your first house. It is still applicable for your sun sign and your moon sign. So your rising sign is how other people perceive you, especially when they first meet you. Your sun sign is how you express yourself. And then your moon sign is how you process everything internally through that emotional lens. And normally I would say a little bit about the month, but I'm actually going to jump right in because we have so much happening in the month of September. Think of it as like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable because it's all about transformation. This is a major change month here for all of us. And it starts off right away on the 1st. So we have Uranus station retrograde in the sign of Taurus. It happens on the 1st at 11:18 in the morning Eastern time. And so Uranus is that planet of sudden change. And so think of it as like the Tower card in tarot readings. For you, this is sitting in your fifth house, children, your hobbies, your passions, short-term relationships, anything that you do for fun outside of work is really within that fifth house energy. These changes that are going to happen though when Uranus station retrograde, it's going to be internal to you. So there's going to be a way, like a different way of thinking or seeing the entire situation or your approach to those topics, like your approach to children or your hobbies, something like that. When Uranus stations retrograde, it will trine Venus in Libra. And so whatever these sudden internal changes are in that house of fun, we'll just call it the house of fun, easily blends with whatever you're experiencing at work, whatever you value about your job. We've got Venus in Libra sitting in your career and public reputation. So it's going to feel really positive here. So even like, let's say as an example, maybe you've got some sort of hobby and you want to make that hobby part of your work environment, or you want to make a career out of it. That would be something here, easily blend. Venus in Libra, what do you value? Let's kind of do this. Lots of harmony, lots of balance here. We also have Uranus in Taurus, trine Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And so this energy here, whatever sudden changes are happening as it relates to your hobbies or children, short-term relationships here, easily blends with whatever changes are taking place in your personal finances, because that's where Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is sitting just for right now. That'll change later in the day. But for right now, it's sitting in your second house of personal finances. We also have Uranus retrograde in Taurus, sextile Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so these sudden internal changes related to children, your hobbies, things like that, it creates some sort of opportunity for you to maybe convey and speak in a way that you want to. Neptune retrograde in Pisces is sitting in your third house of communication. Could also be short distance travel, siblings, neighbors, things like that. But more importantly, like, what goals and dreams do you have for yourself? Is there a way that you want to communicate? Is there a style of communication where you're able to express yourself in a better way or get through to people in a different way? Really maybe change your approach there. So whatever's happening, and think of like, I'll use me as an example. So I'm a Capricorn rising. And so when I think of this Uranus retrograde in Taurus, fifth house, this is my hobby. Astrology, tarot, these are hobbies for me. And what it's doing, it's creating an opportunity for me to maybe convey the message a little bit differently in a way that resonates with more people. That would be that Neptune and Pisces energy sitting in my third house of communication. We also have Uranus retrograde in Taurus square the moon in Leo. And so these changes that are happening as they relate to your hobbies, children, short-term relationships, it's creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to how you feel around maybe the money that you earn, because Leo is sitting in your 8th house. It could be connected to any kind of change that's taking place here, a transformation, because that 8th house is transformation. We also have Uranus and Taurus square Mercury in Leo. So there might be conversations that you're having around the money that you earn. Could be your spouse's money, could be some sort of inheritance here. Even debt is part of that 8th house energy. Or it could just be connected to transformation, because that really is a major theme this month. And I mean, the first is going to be pretty significant here. And I'm going to jump into that in a second here. But that Mercury in Leo, moon in Leo, how you feel and how you're expressing how you feel, it's going to be a carrying theme, especially for you with that house of transformation. later on the 1st at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Time, so less than 12 hours after Uranus stations retrograde, we have Pluto already retrograde sitting in Aquarius. It now re-enters the sign of Capricorn. And so Pluto is the other planet of transformation. Pluto is death and rebirth. When it was in, so it's been in Capricorn, we're closing out the cycle of it being in Capricorn. In our lifetime, it's not going to fall back into the sign of Capricorn. It's just not going to transit there. It takes roughly 250 years to get back to that sign, so we're not going to see it again. Hopefully not. That's kind of a long time to live. But anyway, so we have it in Capricorn. It moved into Aquarius. So Capricorn, you know, we like plans. We like to plan things out. We like structure. We like to know what the end goal is going to be and then the steps we need to take in order to get there. But sometimes those structures can be very limiting and very restrictive. And maybe over time, they evolve in a way that doesn't align with our goals anymore. Like somewhere along the line, something could have changed here. And now we've created these limitations and restrictions that need to be revisited. That's what Pluto re-entering the sign of Capricorn is all about. It's like, let's take a look at these structures one more time. What needs to stay, what needs to go, because that's the Pluto energy. For you, it's sitting in your first house of self. And so this is really about any kind of internal transformation. And now think about it though, because we had Pluto in Aquarius and we're kind of taking all those liberating lessons and reincorporating all of that energy back into this Capricorn house, which is you specifically. And we'll have Pluto in Capricorn until November 19th when it moves back into the sign of Aquarius, and it will be there for 20 years. So this is not around for a very long time, but there's a lot that's happening during this time period. Pluto retrograde in Capricorn will trine Venus in Libra. And so this internal transformation that's taking place within yourself, it's going to easily blend with whatever you're doing in your career, whatever you value about your career, feeling balanced within your career. This internal transformation to yourself, your physical self, it's going to easily align with whatever changes are happening in that house of fun. So hobbies, children, short-term relationships. This Pluto retrograde in Capricorn will sextile Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So this internal transformation that's happening to you, it's going to create some sort of opportunity for you to express yourself in a way that you want, understand things in a way that you want. We also have this Pluto retrograde in Capricorn square Chiron retrograde in Aries. So the Chiron retrograde in Aries, this is not going to be new. When I speak about a wound that has been coming to the surface, you probably already know what I'm referencing. For you, this would be something connected to home life. Think of like an ancestral type of wound, maybe something that stems from childhood. It's all sitting in your fourth house. Again, this is probably not going to be new for you. But what is happening when Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn retrograde? It's going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to doing anything to heal that wound. It's not going to give you an easy opportunity here to be able to do anything to heal that wound. It's a square, so there's conflicts and challenges connected to trying to do something on that wound. You can overcome it. You're in this process of transforming yourself. It's almost like, let me go through this transformation first, and then I'll address some things outside of me. So that was all the first. Told you, big month. On the 2nd, we actually have the new moon in the sign of Virgo. So that's going to happen at 9:55 p.m. Eastern time. And so when this happens, you've got the sun and the moon. They're at the same degree point in the sky. They overlap each other, complete blend of energies. The sun has you really expressing how you feel about everything. And so for you, the sun and moon in Virgo is in your 9th house. Your 9th house is growth, expansion, long distance travel. Think of all these ways that you can kind of take in all this like otherworldly experience and really kind of explore it. That's what this new moon is doing for you. So it's really positive. This sun and moon in Virgo will square Jupiter and Gemini. So if you've been looking to grow or expand your daily life, now's probably not the right time. So with this sun and moon in Virgo, it is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge in the sign of Gemini, which is in your 6th house. Jupiter, not your ruler. I'm also a Sagittarius sun, so I'm in Capricorn. Sorry about that, Cap. So anyway, Jupiter's the ruler of Sagittarius. Sagittarius, Gemini, they're opposite signs. And so with Jupiter sitting in Gemini, it's at its weakest point here, but it's still a benefic planet. It's still very positive. And even though it's in this square, so this challenging aspect, it's not it doesn't completely diminish. It just really weakens its ability to be positive, connected to growth and expansion. So other areas, maybe the way that you're expressing yourself right now as it relates to growth and expansion, is just not allowing you to expand something in your daily life, or it's making it more difficult to expand something in your daily life, or you're not going to be able to get that expansion that you've been looking for. Maybe it's just like on a smaller scale. Then we have the Sun and Moon in Virgo, opposite Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And so what we have is the way that you're expressing yourself, the way that you feel about your growth opportunities. It is opposite to the way that you want to communicate here. Because this is also ninth house, third house energy, this could be short distance travel versus long distance travel. Like, I want to travel long distance, maybe not so much short distance here, but Saturn retrograde in Pisces, to me, more probably communication than anything else, because you're doing some sort of internal work on yourself. And we've seen communication come up pretty frequently for you. And so there's something here where you're working on yourself, but that's opposite to any kind of growth or expansion that you want, that you're expressing right now. And then on the 4th, we have Mars enter the sign of Cancer. So that's going to happen at 3:46 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so Mars in Cancer. So Mars is the ruler of Aries. It's a very action-oriented sign. It's like, let's go, let's get things done. What are we waiting for? Should have been done yesterday. You've got Cancer energy, which is very emotional. It's a water sign. It's definitely the most kind of, it's ruled by the moon. So it's a very emotional, very deep emotional sign. And so this would indicate some sort of action connected to your emotions. It's whatever you're doing right now during this time period, it's going to be emotionally charged. Whatever this action is, very much connected to how you feel you should be doing it in the moment. So just putting that out there as a caution. Maybe think a little bit before you actually take some sort of action. But for you, Mars in Cancer is sitting in your 7th house, and this would be your significant other, your marriage partner, if you're married, those significant one-to-one relationships in your life. And so the action that you're taking is actually related to that person. And that Mars in Cancer will sextile Mercury in Leo. And so the action that you're taking as it relates to that relationship, it's going to create some sort of opportunity here for you to talk about changes that are taking place, because that 8th house energy, that Mercury in the 8th house for you, is transformation. It is death and rebirth here. It's an opportunity. You would have to seize the opportunity to take advantage of it. We also have Mars in Cancer square the moon in Libra. And so whatever you're doing within this relationship, whatever action you're taking with this other person, something very emotionally charged, it's creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to feeling balanced in your career. In fact, it's going to square both the moon and Venus in the sign of Libra. And so Venus in Libra is what you really value about your work. And so you can kind of see, it's like, right now I'm so focused on doing something with my partner that work kind of a second, if you want to think of it that way. We have Mars in Cancer square Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so this action that you're taking in your significant relationship here, it is going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to the way that you want to express yourself. We see this coming up quite a bit, but that's what is showing up here. And again, it feels more like, because everything you're doing is so emotionally charged, it's more emotional action instead of some sort of communication. It's going to get a little bit better, and here's where it starts to get better. So just a few days later on the 9th, we actually have Mercury enter the sign of Virgo. So that's going to happen at 2:50 in the morning Eastern time. And so Mercury rules Virgo, and Mercury in Virgo for you is in your 9th house. And so this is that house of growth, expansion, higher education, things like that. Anything you're doing to really kind of mold yourself into becoming a better person, give yourself that experience. Mercury in Virgo will trine Chiron retrograde in Aries. And so whatever conversations are taking place connected to your growth, Virgo is also a healing energy, and this one's significant because it is trine Chiron retrograde. So these conversations, there's some sort of conversation connected to healing that wound that's been coming to the surface, connected to your home environment, something along those lines. It's giving you some sort of opportunity to heal here. We also have Mercury in Virgo sextile Mars in Capricorn. So that's the second time I think I did that in the Cancer one, and this is actually Mars in Cancer. So anyway, your opposite sign. So Mercury in Virgo sextile Mars in Cancer. And so these conversations that you're having, these healing conversations, it's giving you some sort of opportunity to take more action as it relates to that significant relationship, your significant other, something connected to your emotions here. Mercury in Virgo will also square Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so those healing conversations, or maybe even just conversations in general, they don't all necessarily have to be healing. It's going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to the changes that are happening in that house of fun, in that house of children, your hobbies, your passions. If you don't have a significant other and you're only interested in short-term relationships, they fall within that house. And so it's giving you an opportunity here. Well, not giving you an opportunity. It's actually creating some sort of challenge here, but you can work through it. I mean, it's a square energy. It's not impossible. You just have to put the effort in. And then we have Mercury in Virgo square the moon in Scorpio. And so the moon in Scorpio is sitting in your 11th house. So these are your friends. This is your community that you surround yourself with. And so whatever the conversations that are happening here, it's just creating some sort of obstacle or challenge for those relationships, for how you feel about them. Because again, you are going through a lot of change right now. There's a lot of things that are happening. You've got some healing going on. You've got some healing conversations. You've got a lot of transformation acting out. And so not surprised to see that you don't feel very stable within those relationships here. And it's not going to last. It's just kind of keep in mind that by the time we get to the end of the month, this does get a lot better. We actually have our first taste of the next eclipse series showing up in September. So it's the full moon in the sign of Pisces. We're about to move into the Pisces Virgo eclipse season, with Pisces being the north node, Virgo being the south node. And on the 17th, we'll have this partial lunar eclipse, so the full moon in the sign of Pisces, which means during this full moon, you've got the sun and the moon. They're at opposite points in the sky. We've got the sun in Virgo, so that's sitting in your 9th house of growth and expansion, long distance travel. We've got the moon in Pisces sitting in your communication, also short distance travel. And so you can kind of see how they're opposite from each other. The way that you're expressing yourself, the growth that you're going after is opposite about maybe how you feel around the way that you communicate, or the way that you want to communicate, or maybe it could be connected to long distance, short distance travel. So this will be a taste of kind of how that eclipse season is going to play out in 2025 and 2026. But to kind of talk a little bit more about this eclipse specifically, you've got the sun and the moon. They have different conversations, just like they usually do during a full moon. They'll have different conversations, but what you're going to see during this full moon specifically is that the conversations between both the sun and the planets and the moon and the planets, positive, lots of positive here. And so the sun in Virgo will trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So the way that you're expressing yourself, the kind of growth that you want to go after, it's going to easily flow with whatever changes are taking place as it relates to children or your passions, hobbies, things like that. The moon in Pisces will sextile Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so the way that you feel around your communication, your ideal communication here, or it could be short distance travel, it's going to create an opportunity for you to maybe make more changes as it relates to children and hobbies and whatever it is that you enjoy doing in your free time. We have the sun in Virgo trine Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And so these conversations are also going to easily flow with whatever changes are happening inside of you, because that Pluto retrograde in Capricorn is your physical self. We'll have the moon in Pisces create an opportunity for even more change to happen to yourself, for you to release more that death and rebirth energy. We also have the sun in Virgo square Jupiter and Gemini, but the moon does too. So this is actually a T-square. I would say this is probably the only one that's a little bit more difficult. Difficult in the sense that they're both creating obstacles and challenges to this Jupiter and Gemini energy. However, it's still Jupiter, so it's still a positive planet. And so these kind of growth conversations that you might be having, the way that you express yourself, the way that you want to grow and expand who you are, it's creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to grow or do something within your daily life. The moon in Pisces energy, so the way that you want to communicate yourself or communicate your feelings or something along those lines, it's also going to create some obstacles or challenges to growing and expanding your daily life here. The sun in Virgo will be opposite Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so those conversations for your growth and expansion, they're going to be opposite to the way that you want to communicate. It just feels like things are shifting. they're definitely shifting. But if you're thinking about, okay, Sun in Virgo, I've got these ideas. I want to express exactly what it is that I want to do, grow and expand in some sort of way. But that is very different from the way that you see yourself communicating. And it's almost like one is getting comfortable with being where you are versus kind of growing and expanding. But again, because we've got short distance, we've got long distance travel. And then we have the moon in Pisces conjunct Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so the way that you're communicating your feelings, or just the way that you want to communicate in general, how you feel around the way that you're communicating, easily blends with how you want to communicate. So think of your communication style, the way that you convey your message, all of those things. This is a conjunction. So easy blend of energy, completely overlaps each other. And then on the 22nd, we have the sun enter the sign of Libra. So that's going to happen at 8:44 in the morning Eastern time. And so when the sun enters the sign of Libra, so this is a lot of balanced conversation and communication as it relates to your career and public reputation. It will trine the moon in Gemini. And so when you think about, okay, this is how I feel around my daily life, easy blend of energy. Whatever you're doing at work easily blends with whatever you're doing in your daily life. The sun in Libra will trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so these balanced conversations that you're having at work easily flow with whatever changes are taking place as they relate to children, your passions, hobbies, again, anything that you do for fun. The sun in Libra will also trine Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And so these balanced expressions, these conversations at work, the way that you're expressing yourself, it's going to easily flow with whatever changes you're trying to make to yourself. We've got the sun in Libra square Jupiter and Gemini. And so these balanced conversations, the way that you're expressing yourself, it does create some sort of obstacle or challenge to growing and expanding your daily life. So we saw an easy blend of energy connected to the moon. So good, positive, easy blend of energy with the moon, how you already feel about it. But now might not be the time to either grow or expand something in your daily life. Make more room for something here. And then we have the sun in Libra conjunct Mercury in Virgo. And so these conversations, the way that you're expressing yourself at work, there might be something leading to some sort of growth or expansion in general. Just because this is a lot of conversations, this is growth or expansion, it's a conjunction connected to your job. So if you've been looking to do something here and grow and expand your role at work, this would be one of those transits that's going to work in your favor. We have the sun in Libra opposite Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so these balanced conversations, or the way that you're expressing yourself at work, is opposite the way that you see yourself communicating, that ideal type of communication or expression that you want to have here. Or it could be something connected to travel. It could absolutely be connected to travel. If you're having some sort of balanced conversation at work, and maybe Neptune retrograde in Pisces indicates that maybe you only like to travel short distances to get to work. Maybe something here would be connected to, because we do have that 9th house energy showing up as well, where we've got the 10th house blending with the 9th house, and we've got it opposite your short distance travel. So there could easily be something happening here where maybe you want to stay local, but you're doing something connected to work that involves long distance travel instead of that short distance travel. So that could easily be taking place here as well. It doesn't necessarily mean growth within the career. It could be growth as far as the distance that you need to take in order to go where you need to go. And then the same day that we have the sun enter Libra, we have Venus enter the sign of Scorpio. And so also on the 22nd at 10:36 p.m. Eastern time, Venus in Scorpio. So Scorpio rules your house of friends. So the community around you, the people that you surround yourself with on purpose. Venus is a very loyal energy, and Scorpio is very passionate. So this is a lot of feeling very loyal to your friends, the relationships that you've formed here, feeling very passionate about those friendships. It's going to easily blend with whatever you're trying to expand and grow in your daily life. It's going to trine this Jupiter and Gemini energy. Venus in Scorpio will square Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And so being loyal to your friends is creating some sort of obstacle or challenge to making some more changes to who you are, because that Pluto retrograde in Capricorn is your physical self. And then we have Mercury enter the sign of Libra. And so what you're going to see is a lot of synergy between the sun entering Libra, Mercury entering Libra. In fact, when Mercury enters Libra, Mercury and the Sun are in a conjunction, which means the energy is blended together. So this is a lot of expressing yourself, having conversations at work, very balanced conversations, maybe even the way that you're thinking about things from a work perspective. We'll have Mercury in Libra trine Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so these conversations that you're having at work, these very balanced conversations, it's going to easily flow with whatever changes are happening as it relates to children, your passion projects, short-term relationships, if that's where you are. So easily blends together. We have Mercury in Libra trine Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. And so these balanced conversations at work are also going to fully align with the transformations that you're making to yourself, whatever it is that you need to let go of, whatever it is that you want to hold on to and maybe grow that transformation. Mercury in Libra here will square Jupiter in Gemini. And so these balanced conversations at work are going to create obstacles or challenges here to growing or expanding something within your daily life. We have Mercury in Libra, opposite Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so the way that you're communicating at work, maybe keeping something very balanced, it's opposite the way that you want to communicate. So it's almost like maybe you're compromising a little bit because that's Libra energy. So you might be finding a way to compromise, make something work here, whereas you really want to say something that's very different and maybe stand up for yourself more and fight for something more, that Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so it's going to be an opposite energy. I'm trying to think of a better way of describing that, but it could be something where it just doesn't align with the way that you want to communicate here. And so you can work with the energy, you can find that happy medium, you just have to work on it. But this Mercury in Libra in your 10th house is a really positive transit for you because it is focused on your career, balancing out your career, things like that. So Capricorn, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.